You step into the lobby of an office building a few minutes early for an interview. Your resume is solid. You've prepared your answers. You know you're qualified, but before anyone even asks your name, you notice something impossible to ignore. A quick glance from the receptionist, a recruiter who seems just a little warmer with the candidate who arrived after you, a subtle hesitation. Before someone finally greets you, nothing dramatic happens. No one says you don't belong, yet you can feel an invisible distance, as if the room has already decided something about you before you've spoken a single word. It's an uncomfortable feeling because most people believe success is earned through talent, discipline, and hard work. And over time, those qualities do matter. But the first few moments of any interaction often follow a different set of rules. Long before people evaluate your abilities, they begin interpreting signals. Your clothes, your posture, the condition of your shoes, the watch on your wrist, or the absence of one. Each detail quietly shapes expectations in ways neither side fully realizes. Psychologists often describe this as the brain's tendency to make rapid judgments from limited information. These mental shortcuts aren't always fair, and they're certainly not always accurate, but they influence countless decisions every single day, from hiring and promotions to friendships, partnerships, and opportunities that never even announce themselves. This is where the work of Robert Greene becomes especially thought-provoking. Rather than treating power as something gained only through force or authority, he frequently explores a quieter reality. People don't respond only to who you are, they also respond to the image they create of you. And perception often moves faster than truth. That doesn't mean appearance is everything, but it does raise an unsettling possibility. What if looking poor doesn't just affect how people see you? What if it quietly changes the choices they make about you, before you've had a single chance to prove them wrong? What makes this pattern so unsettling is that it usually happens before anyone is aware of it. Your brain is constantly filtering information. Every face, every voice, every movement competes for attention. To keep up with the world, it relies on shortcuts, quick judgments built from incomplete evidence. Psychologists often refer to these as heuristics. They're efficient, but they're far from perfect. When someone appears successful, many people unconsciously associate that appearance with qualities like competence, discipline, or reliability. When someone appears financially strained, the opposite assumptions can sometimes emerge, even when there's no evidence to support them. The appearance becomes a story, and the story quietly shapes expectations. This is why two people can deliver the exact same idea, yet receive completely different reactions. One is interrupted, the other is invited to continue. The words haven't changed, the listener has. This subtle distinction echoes a recurring perspective found in the work of Robert Greene. He often examines how perception becomes a force of its own. Once people form an initial impression, they rarely judge every new piece of information from scratch. Instead, they often interpret future behavior through the lens of that first impression. In psychology, this tendency is closely related to what researchers call the halo effect, and its opposite, the horn effect, where one visible trait influences how unrelated qualities are perceived. But here's the part most people overlook. Looking poor doesn't always reduce opportunity because of money itself. Sometimes it reduces certainty. In uncertain situations, people naturally search for signals that help them predict risk. They ask silent questions without realizing it. Can this person be trusted? Will they succeed? Do they belong here? When clear answers are missing, visible cues often fill the gap. Not because those cues reveal the truth, but because the human mind dislikes uncertainty more than it dislikes being wrong. That's what makes this dynamic so powerful. It isn't merely about appearance. It's about how quickly appearances become assumptions, and how assumptions quietly influence decisions long before facts ever enter the conversation. But if first impressions are built in seconds, can they be challenged just as quickly? Or do they become invisible walls that grow stronger with every interaction? History offers a revealing example, not from a battlefield or a royal court, but from the early days of modern retail. In the first half of the 20th century, a young salesman entered one of the most competitive department stores in the country. He wasn't introduced by powerful connections. He didn't arrive with visible status. His suit was inexpensive, carefully pressed, but unmistakably modest beside the polished appearance of senior executives who walked the same halls each morning. Customers rarely noticed him. Managers rarely remembered his name. When ideas were discussed, his suggestions often faded into the background before anyone seriously considered them. Then, something changed. It wasn't his intelligence. That had been there all along. It wasn't suddenly better ideas. What changed was his position inside the organization. As his responsibilities grew, people began reacting to him differently. The same observations that had once been overlooked were now written down in meetings. Conversations became longer. Invitations appeared without him asking. Even his confidence seemed to increase, not because his abilities had transformed overnight, but because everyone around him had begun interpreting him through a different lens. This pattern has been observed far beyond a single workplace. Behavioral scientists have repeatedly found that perceived status can shape how people evaluate identical information. The messenger often influences the message more than we'd like to admit. Robert Greene frequently explores this dynamic from the perspective of power and social perception. One recurring idea in his work is that people rarely respond to objective reality alone. They respond to the signals that suggest where someone belongs within a social hierarchy. Those signals become mental shortcuts, influencing attention, credibility, and even memory. The uncomfortable implication isn't that talent has no value. It's that talent often struggles to be recognized when perception is working against it. In many situations, the first obstacle isn't proving you're capable. It's earning enough attention for your capabilities to be noticed in the first place. And that raises a deeper question. If the world is constantly reading signals before it listens to substance, which signals are shaping your life without you ever realizing they're being interpreted? If perception shapes first impressions, something even more powerful begins to happen. After those first impressions are accepted, people don't just react to how they see you. Over time, they begin adjusting their own behavior around the version of you they've come to believe is real. Social psychologists have long observed that expectations can quietly influence outcomes. When people expect confidence, they often offer more attention, patience, and opportunity. When they expect struggle or uncertainty, their behavior can become more cautious, even if they never intend to be unfair. Small differences in eye contact, conversation length, encouragement, or trust may seem insignificant on their own, but repeated hundreds of times, they can gradually reshape someone's opportunities. This creates a subtle feedback loop. The perception influences the response. The response influences the experience, and the experience can eventually influence the person. That is why appearances are never just about appearance. They can become part of the environment that shapes future behavior. Robert Greene often explores a similar pattern through the lens of social dynamics. One recurring theme in his philosophy is that people tend to reinforce the roles they assign to others. Once someone is viewed as influential, capable, or respected, everyday interactions often strengthen that image. The opposite can happen as well. Initial assumptions, whether accurate or not, may become increasingly difficult to challenge because every new interaction is interpreted through an existing narrative. This isn't simply about wealth, it's about perceived value, and perceived value extends far beyond money. It affects whose ideas receive the benefit of the doubt, whose mistakes are forgiven, whose potential is noticed before results appear. Perhaps the most overlooked consequence is that many people begin adapting to the expectations placed upon them. When doors remain closed long enough, it's easy to mistake limited opportunities for limited ability. The external perception slowly becomes an internal belief, not because it's true, but because repeated social feedback makes it feel true. That's where the real danger lies, not in how strangers judge you, but in what happens when their expectations quietly become your own. And if perception can shape both the way others respond to you and the way you respond to yourself, what, then, are the signals that can begin changing that cycle before a single word is spoken? If the world is constantly reading signals, the instinctive response is to spend more money. But that misses the point. The strongest signals aren't always expensive. They're consistent. Think about the people who naturally command attention when they enter a room. Many aren't the wealthiest person there, yet they rarely appear rushed, disorganized, or uncertain. Their environment, their communication, and their behavior tell the same story. That consistency makes other people feel they know what to expect, and the human mind is naturally drawn toward what feels predictable. This is one reason Robert Greene often emphasizes the importance of managing perception, not through deception, but through deliberate presentation. Every social interaction contains visible and invisible cues. While you can't control every assumption others make, you can influence the signals you repeatedly send. Consider something as simple as how you speak about your circumstances. Someone who constantly apologizes for what they don't have unintentionally directs everyone's attention towards scarcity. The conversation becomes centered on limitation before ability ever has a chance to emerge. By contrast, someone who speaks clearly avoids unnecessary self-deprecation and allows their work to carry the conversation creates a different psychological effect. People aren't being convinced by confidence alone. They're responding to the absence of doubt. In uncertain situations, calm behavior is often interpreted as competence because it reduces social friction. The same principle applies to reliability. Returning messages when you say you will, arriving prepared, keeping promises, even small ones. These actions rarely create dramatic first impressions. Instead, they build something far more valuable, a pattern, and the human brain trusts patterns far more than isolated moments. Over time, consistency becomes a form of evidence. None of this guarantees success. Biases still exist, circumstances still matter, but consistent signals make it harder for inaccurate assumptions to survive unchanged. Eventually, people stop relying only on appearances because they've accumulated enough experience to replace their first impression with something stronger. Yet one question remains: if changing outward signals can reshape how other people respond to you, is there an even deeper shift, one that transforms the invisible message you communicate before anyone has the chance to judge your appearance at all? Return to that office lobby from the beginning. You're still waiting for your name to be called. The polished floors haven't changed. The receptionist is still answering phones. Other candidates are still walking through the same door. But now, the scene looks different, because the real story was never about a suit, a watch, or the number in a bank account. Those were only the visible symbols. The deeper struggle was always about interpretation. People rarely have enough time or enough information to fully understand the person standing in front of them, so they construct a story instead. Sometimes that story is accurate. Often, it isn't. Yet for a brief moment, that story becomes reality in the mind of the observer. Robert Greene repeatedly returns to this tension throughout his work. Power is not simply the ability to influence events. It is also the ability to understand how perception shapes human behavior. But understanding perception does not mean becoming trapped by it. It means recognizing that while first impressions may open or close doors, they do not have to define everything that follows. History is filled with people whose value was underestimated long before it was recognized. Their greatest challenge wasn't proving they had talent. It was surviving the period when no one else could see it. That's the hidden cost of appearing powerless. Not because poverty makes someone less intelligent, not because modest circumstances erase character, but because human beings often mistake visible signals for invisible qualities, and once that mistake is repeated often enough, it can begin shaping decisions, relationships, and opportunities without anyone consciously intending it. Perhaps that's the lesson hidden beneath this entire discussion. The question is never whether people judge appearances. They often do. The more important question is whether you'll allow those early judgments to become the final definition of who you are. Because perception has limits. Time exposes patterns. Character reveals itself through consistency. And reality, although slower than appearance, has a remarkable way of outlasting first impressions. The next time you walk into a room, remember this: some people will see only what is immediately visible. Others will wait long enough to discover what cannot be seen. The course of your life may depend less on the assumptions strangers make in a single moment, and more on whether you give those assumptions the power to become your own reality. So when the world mistakes your circumstances for your worth, who gets to write the final story? You, or the first impression that never truly knew you?